Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Andycine A6 Pro field monitor. Now, as noted on the box, 5.5-inch touchscreen, on-camera monitor with power kit. That's part of what makes this the Pro version of its predecessor, the A6 Plus that I have right here, which is a really solid touchscreen monitor, but this brings more to the table. So at roughly $180 US, I'll include a link in the description to Amazon. This was sent over for review. Let's get into it and take a look at exactly what this brand new offering from Andycine has to literally offer. So first and foremost, it appears the seal was already broken. I didn't open it, but whatever, not a big deal. It is a review unit after all. It does come with a carry case. That's the first thing we see. I always like that. Some paperwork, cleaning cloth, all that good stuff. But let's get to the actual device itself. Now, what makes the A6 Pro, the Pro version, is that it's giving you the ability to mount additional accessories that you would likely want to use with this field monitor. So instead of just being just another 5.5-inch color accurate touchscreen field monitor that gives you 4K pass-through for capture if necessary, this also has a Type-C port on it. It also has a mounting area for, it seems like it got a little bit bent, the sunshade, but a mounting area for another Sony external battery. There's our physical arm for mounting this. And that's what makes it the Pro, frankly. 500 nits of brightness. So I think that's right in line with the previous generation. Let's see, that is the sunshade frame. Pull this all out. And this is something, again, that if you're in the market for a field monitor, this should be on your short list, because at $180, it's going to be really hard to beat something like this. Andycine already kind of has this area on lockdown. I'm not saying there aren't other manufacturers. There are, but so there you have it. Again, this is a 5.5-inch full HD display, touchscreen. In terms of the body, you can see we have a Type-C port. That's something I was just mentioning, which is 5-volt DC in. That means you can power this with a battery bank. You are no longer relegated to having to use a traditional Sony FP like they include right here, which they do have a slot for. But then in addition, you can see right here, they're telling you that you can use this to mount another FP battery to be an additional power source. You can also mount other gear on here. So let's say you want to mount a wireless transmitter, something like Andycine's Ben box that I covered in the past. You can do that. You can mount that on here. Let's say you want to mount a LED light. You can do that. So this gives you more flexibility than your traditional field monitor, and that is why it is dubbed the Pro version rather than just a traditional A6 Plus successor. So beyond that, at the top we have a ton of buttons, as you may have already noticed, and that's not incredibly different from other monitors that they've made in the past, but it's giving you a little more tactile control beyond the touchscreen. So that, I feel like, is another takeaway, is that with the A6 Plus, it relies predominantly on the touchscreen. Here they're saying we're giving you touchscreen plus tactile physical buttons. You can see we have quarter 20 here. We have HDMI in and out right here. DC, I believe that's in. It is 12 volt in. And then on the bottom, 8.4 volt out. So another way that you can power additional accessories or your camera if you're using a dummy battery. Another quarter 20 mount. You have a headphone jack for monitoring. And again, that Type-C port, which is a really big deal for Andycine's line of field monitors, because that just doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and open up this battery. Let's take a look at what else they included. 500 nits of brightness. So unlike their 7-inch field monitor that I'm presently using on a regular basis, this is not going to be as ideal for outdoor use, but that's why they've included a sunshade. You just attach this, throw the sunshade on it, and you're in business. So traditionally, a double tap brings up the menu. There you can see the menu right now. So histogram, focus assist, peaking, embedded audio, overexposure. I mean, it has everything that you would expect, false colors, the whole deal. You can run the gamut with this, and it should be a very compelling offering, again, because at under 200 US dollars, this is a more versatile field monitor than their traditional A6 Plus. But if you don't need the ability to mount another power source or an accessory, or you don't care about the flexibility of being able to power this with a battery bank through its Type-C port, then of course it's not as compelling for those of you that don't need it. But I, without any hesitation, would be very quick to jump on this over, again, an older model like the A6 Plus. Let me go ahead and take off the actual sunshade mount for that, just so you can see them side by side, literally. Of course, the A6 Plus is not on right now, but you can see they look so much alike. But then when we start to look at the body, construction is all plastic. Same thing with the HDMI in and out. They changed the labeling a little bit. Here it's on the back. But flip to the bottom of the unit, and yes, very similar, but that Type-C port now is there. No more SD card slot because, again, we have a Type-C port that can handle LUTs as well as power supply. So more versatile than having an SD card slot. On the other side of the unit, let's go ahead and flip these over. On the top, you can see a stark difference between the two. Again, as I mentioned, going for more of a physical button layout so that you have the best of both worlds if you do want to use tactile buttons rather than rely solely on a touchscreen. And I think that's smart. Again, another reason to call this the Pro. And then on this side, just a 1/4-20 mount, so very similar on each monitor's right side. But the back is where, of course, things have really changed, because you're talking about just having a spot for an FP style battery to power the actual field monitor, whereas now you not only have, of course, the spot to power it, but you also have the ability to throw on an additional FP battery. You have another mounting point for an additional accessory. So I feel like, as I've stated, even though this is a first look and an unboxing, the A6 Pro looks like a no-brainer if your budget is roughly 200 US and you plan to do more, or you'd like to have the flexibility to do more than just have a field monitor. Now, if you want to spend less money, you can. Of course, they include a battery charger for those of you that were wondering, which is nice, and that's why they do say it's a power kit as well. We've also got what you'd already expect here, which is an HDMI cable. We also have an adapter for the Type-C port. So this is a Type A to Type C that they've included, which, you know, you're likely going to need. It's always good to have. And then, as I stated earlier, the actual arm for mounting this on camera. If you want to mount it on your camera's hot shoe, you can do that. And the sunshade is self-explanatory. And then last but not least, we have what looks like a micro USB cable to Type A. So that, instead of supplying us with a Type-C cable to Type A, they've given us a micro, which I'm not really sure, unless I got lost in the shuffle here, how this fits into the picture. But I suppose that is because you can utilize it to pull off of, I'm trying to figure out how you would use that, frankly. I suppose if you have a battery like I do, like one of these Vemicos, that you could mount onto this and then, you know, go right to, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where that fits in. Oh, I figured it out. Sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. So this is for the battery charger. I should have realized that right off of the top. So this is just to actually charge the battery. But again, it's all added value that they're throwing this all in, because I've seen Andycine play with their configurations, give you less, give you more, you know, trying to really flex the price point and figure out what will satisfy users. So I feel like here they've struck the right balance, and there's no question I feel like there's a strong appeal to something like this, especially with camera I'm reviewing right now, the A7C. So you think about wanting to keep it light, still needing a field monitor, and then wanting to be able to add on accessories. And this is just a great way to do it. And your rig is going to stay portable. It's not going to get crazy. Whether or not you need a field monitor with a camera like the A7C, because it does have that fully articulating screen, is a whole nother story. But there you have it. I said it would be a quick unboxing. It's 10 minutes. This is one of the coolest field monitors right now in its space, at its price. And again, I would argue tough to beat considering what it's capable of, especially when you look back, again, at its predecessor, which was groundbreaking at its time for its price point. And I did really enjoy using it, but there's no question this takes the cake with all of its flexibility, expandability, and in general, just a more versatile product, and they're nearly the same price. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.